Hello, I'm Stephanie Miller, the librarian at the San Francisco Theological Seminary, and today we're going to talk about adding feeds to your Zotero. It's a way you can keep up with current research. Now, you may be wondering, what are feeds? Why would I use them? And what's Zotero anyway? Don't worry, we'll cover all of that with a few demonstrations of how to actually add a feed into Zotero. So let's get started. A feed is sometimes known by this acronym RSS, which stands for really simple syndication. It's useful to think of an RSS feed as an alert system in code. A website generates this code to let software programs and other websites know when they have a new resource. So it's a way to find out if there's a new podcast episode or a new search result or a new article in a journal. As a student at the Graduate Theological Union, I think this would be useful for a newer student who's exploring a new career field, especially when a professor mentions an authoritative journal in class. You can follow it to see if you're really interested in that career field or that subject area. I can also see adding a feed as being useful to someone further along in their dissertation because they may not want to miss the latest research on their topic. They want to get the latest and incorporate it into their dissertation. It could be a way to track podcasts, maybe for fun or maybe for your interest level in a certain subject area. Sometimes blogs will also have RSS feeds when they release a new blog article. It can be used for fun and not just for podcasts. I'll show a demo of my local public library's catalog and how you might do fun feed saving in Zotero. Speaking of Zotero, some of you may be wondering, what is Zotero? It's a free and open source program and bookmarklet that lets you organize your research. If you're interested in learning more about the capabilities of Zotero, including creating footnotes and endnotes and a bibliography in a certain format like Turabian, check the description of this video as I'll link to our other workshop video on Zotero. It's a very powerful research assistant and organization tool, and feeds are just a small part of it. So let's get into the demos here. I'm going to share my Zotero window, my software program here. Now, Zotero consists of 3 panels. So over here in the left panel, I have my library, group libraries, and feeds. Now, usually I'm mostly up here in my library, organizing things into folders, checking up on resources. But at the very bottom, if I minimize this My Library by using that arrow to the left, I can see that I have a few feeds here. Like I follow anything that has the subject heading of Haruki Murakami. And I can see the latest articles that are published with him as a subject heading. If I click on them, I get a little bit more information. Like this is an article in comparative literature studies. If I was really interested in this journal article, I could right click and click view online to navigate to the article's site, if possible. I may also want to go over here to the right panel and save it somewhere in my library so I can cite it and use it for my research. If you click to the far right of this Add to button, you can organize it into just your general My Library folder or drill down into the various subfolders that you have. So that's what it looks like in Zotero. Let's save a few more feeds here. As usual, I like to start in the GTU Library homepage for my searches. So I'm going to hit the search summon button. Maybe I've decided that my specialty might be early medieval mystics. So I'm going to go into an advanced search. and I want anything with a subject heading of Julian of Norwich. So I'm going to go ahead and do this search. Now, as I'm looking over here into content type and I click more, I may want to eliminate results like book reviews or magazine articles. Maybe I'm only interested in the latest scholarly results. So I'm going to apply those two filters. And I may also want to use some other filters, like potentially the language filter, and maybe the scholarly peer reviewed. But 280 is pretty handy here. So I'm going to sort by the newest. Latest research, June 2020. You'll notice that when I showed my first slide on RSS, I had that orange icon. This one's gray, but if you hover over it, it says this is an RSS feed for this search. So I'm going to go ahead and click that icon. And it looks like I'm a computer coding whiz here, but this is what a feed looks like. And I'm just going to select everything in the address bar and copy it. So then the next step, we want to be in Zotero. So I'm going to share my Zotero window. To add a feed, once you've copied the URL, you want to go up to the briefcase icon with the green plus. It's barely visible in the bottom right, up here near the top under Edit. And there's a little arrow to the right. We want to click on that to get the drop-down menu to add a new feed from the URL. So I'm going to click that menu option. And as soon as I paste the feed, you want to give it a few moments to recognize that it's an RSS feed, and you may want to retitle it. There's also other options, like I could change when it's updated. Maybe I only need it updated every 24 hours. Maybe I want to remove the unread item sooner or later. So I'm going to go ahead and save this feed. Now you'll notice I'm on it and it's blank. Now, I've noticed that it's a little slow in importing searches from Summit. Just give it a day, and the next time you open Zotero, it'll start running that feed regularly upon opening. You can see with these other searches, like for the Journal of Pastoral Psychology, I can see the latest journal articles here. They come over when I open the Zotero program. So then let's go ahead and do another search for a journal. So I'm going to go back to the GTU Library page. And this time I'm going to search for a known journal title. We're going to search for, by publication title, Sociology of Religion. And I'm only interested in the newer issues and articles. So this is looking really interesting to me. I'm going to click the full text online. And here's the article, but when I look for the RSS feed icon, I don't see it. I see these alerts, which usually offer getting another they involve getting another email into your inbox, and I've got too many emails to handle. I want that RSS feed. So I'm going to go over here to issues. This is a common thing you can try when you're trying to find whether or not a journal has an RSS feed. Just either go to the About or the place where you can view all the issues. And sure enough, now instead of just seeing the email alerts, they have actually a few different kinds of RSS feeds. I'm interested in the feed for the latest issue. So again, I click it and I copy the RSS feed, and then I'm going to go ahead and save it to Zotero. I'm going to share my Zotero window. So again, go up to this briefcase icon, go to New Feed from URL. Give it a moment to think, rename it, add additional settings, and go ahead and save that new feed. It'll come, this one came over a little bit quicker. I don't know why summon takes a little bit of a while, but at least it will come up in the next day. Something that I may want to do at this point is save something to my library, because if it's in feeds, you can't cite it in Zotero, so you want to get it over into your library. So this one's looking very interesting to me. I'm going to go ahead and save it to my testing folder. There's a little pop-up window in the bottom right, and it'll actually come over with the full text since the GTU library subscribes to this resource. All right, so we've saved a subject search in Summon, we've saved a journal search. Let's go ahead and do a trickier journal. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the GTU library. And do a summon search. Again, another publication title. This is the Journal of Religion and Health. And I'm going to go ahead and sort. So now when I go and view this full text journal article, I'm taken to the article page. I click on the journal title to go, hopefully, to a list of the full articles, the latest issues. But I'm looking everywhere to the right, even down all the way to the bottom, and I don't see a feed. And even when I go to view all volumes and issues, I'm searching and searching for a place where they have the feeds. They have that sign up for alerts, but that's the email in the inbox, which may work for some people, doesn't work for me. There's still a way I can save it. I'm going to close out of the journal and come back to my summon search. And I'm going to just do that same thing I did for the Julian of Norwich subject search. And I'm going to go back in and do the search for Journal of Religion and Health. There's my RSS icon. Again, click it, copy the URL, add it to the Zotero library. Let's go ahead and show a different kind of search that I might want to save. So I'm going to go ahead and close, or go back to the summon search here. I'm going to go ahead and clear everything. I want to start fresh. All right. So let's say you want to follow a news story or subjects as they come up in the news. One search that I could think of is, say, you're interested in how chaplains are responding to the coronavirus. And I might, there's so many different ways we refer to the pandemic. I might want to add it as another line so that I can do string synonyms together. So coronavirus or pandemic or COVID. And then I might add that I'm only interested when they mention California, because if I do worldwide, it may be too much information to take. Now, when I come down here, I'm going to expand my results outside because we don't have, a New York Times subscription, but I want to know just in case it comes up in the New York Times or the San Francisco Chronicle. So I'm not going to exclude newspaper articles, but I want to be careful up here to scroll through and find when it's mentioned in a magazine or news source. That's really what I'm focused on, newspaper article here. And I think I'm good here. I do only want things in English. Very specific search I did here, still with a lot of results. Just out of curiosity, I want to see what's the latest here. And you notice since I've expanded it, I'm getting results from the Los Angeles Times, things like the Daily Beast has a lot of articles. There's a few things that I'm not excited about in here, like those company reports, but by and large, it's a pretty good search. Basically, you want to save a search as a feed when you feel like it's a perfect search that you don't want to have to keep redoing over and over again. So again, to save this, I just click that little icon, save the URL in the address bar, and then add it to Zotero. All right, so here's another demo. Maybe I'm really interested in NPR's podcasts. I could navigate to their podcast page. And let's see here. Really interested in the TED Radio Hour. They have a lot of podcasts. Sure enough, right under here, they have an RSS link. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Again, save that URL. And let's go ahead and add that to Zotero. Let me make sure I'm sharing that with you, what that looks like. Up here, new feed from URL. Paste and change the title if you need to. This came over pretty clean. And this one might also take a little while to load. There's a little green refresh icon that you can click up here to the right. I didn't even click it. It just took a little bit of time for things to come over. All right, so let's go ahead and do one last fun search. Thanks for hanging in with me through this kind of technical demonstration. So my local public libraries, they have a powerful catalog, and I noticed that the RSS feed icon comes up when I do a catalog search in the local Marin public libraries. So I started thinking to myself, how could I use this catalog feed for fun? Well, if I'm interested in getting the latest movie that features a certain actress, so let's say, for example, this actress, and I want to limit it to DVDs down here in the format. I go ahead and do the search. And then the icon is hiding right over here to the right. I'm going to click it, save that URL. Go ahead and show you one more time in Zotero what that looks like. Coming over to Zotero, up to the briefcase, doing a new feed from URL, paste the URL, and save. and this came over super fast. So that way I could keep a to-watch list organized in my feeds. Now, you notice this feeds list could get fairly long, but remember, I could have a folder here that I could create. And as things come up in my feed, I could then add this to my things to watch. All right. If you have any questions about using feeds in Zotero, just chat a librarian on library at gtu.edu for our email, and then at gtu.edu/library for the chat on the web page. Thanks so much, and looking forward to talking with you again.